Hello trail finders, welcome back to the next video in this series. Today we are going to talk about after triggers. We have the trigger on the account object already with us. We have the switch on trigger operation type. We are going to write a trigger on after insert. So what basically we want to do is, so whenever an account is created, we want to do an action which is not associated on the account. So what we can do is whenever an account is created, we are going to create a contact associated with it. So how do we do that? Let's see that. Again, in order to write any trigger, we need a handler class. So we already have our account trigger handler class. So we are going to use the same class. And what we are going to say is we are going to write public static void, and we're going to say create contact. That's exactly what we are going to do. So we are going to do create contact list account. And what we are going to get is account list from here. We'll create a list of contact because we are going to create contact. So we are going to create contact list. And then we are going to do a for loop on the account object. We are going to say ACC object is to ACC list, right? That's the list we are getting from here in our method as a parameter. Now what we need to do is we are going to create a contact. So how do we create a contact? We are going to create a contact like this is equal to new contact, and we need to pass some value inside it. So let's say first name is equal to test, and whatever fields are there on the contact, you can put all of those fields here. We are going to put the bare minimum so that it creates the record for us. And in the last name, we are going to put the account name itself. So how do we get the account name? We are going to get the account name like this. Last name is only required field on the contact object. So we are going to put these two values. And then what we are going to do is we are going to put this contact record inside this list. So whenever you are doing any DML or any SOQLs, you don't do inside loop. You always do your SOQLs and your DMLs outside the loop. Hence, because you never know how many records are coming into it. So let's say if you're doing DML inside this loop, your trigger is going to run 200 DML transactions. Or if you're going to do SOQL inside this loop, then your trigger is going to do 200 SOQLs inside this loop. That is not a good practice. You're going to hit the limits. These are called governor limits, and we are going to talk about that. But it's not a good practice. So always, whatever DMLs you want to do, whatever SOQLs you want to do should be outside the loop, never inside the loop. Your logic is not working. And if you think that you need to put an SOQL inside the loop, then speak with your project managers because there would be a workaround around it. I've not seen any. Sometimes while thinking about a solution, we observe that, it's a must have to put a SOQL inside a loop. But when you actually think it through with your senior developers and with your project managers, there would be definitely a workaround to it and not do that SOQL inside that loop or that DML inside that loop. Now, whatever number of accounts that would come inside this particular loop, we are creating associated contacts for that particular account. And one more thing we would have to do on the contact object, there's a field called account ID. And we're going to link our account object to that contact so that they both are linked and they are available. So we are going to do that using account object.id because this is an after trigger. So it would have the account ID, and hence we are doing the after trigger because we want to get the account ID and we want to link the account and contact together. So how we would do that? We would do that using these two values. So account field on the contact will be updated with the account object ID on the contact. This is exactly similar. So how you would, go on a contact when you create a contact and you would populate the account here. So what basically happens behind this is it puts the ID of this particular account inside this particular field. And that's what basically happens here. So I'll quickly show you by running this trigger. So you go here, account.trigger, and after insert, and we are going to run the create contact from here. And then we are going to do trigger.new and we are going to save it. So what we need to do here is, whenever we write a DML or an SOQL, we need to write it outside our for loop. So what we are going to do, we are going to do insert because this is a fresh contact we are creating. So we are going to do insert and we are going to insert the whole list. And then what we need to do is we need to call this particular trigger after insert. So and the name of the class and our method. And then what we are going to do is trigger.new. Once we do that, everything is set here. We are going to create a new account from the UI. So we'll go to the account tab and click on new here. We are going to say test account 2 and we are going to save it now. So this has created a contact for us, if you can see. And because the name of our account was test account 2 and the first name of the contact was test, so it has test account 2 now, and it is linked to the account as well. And that's what our trigger has done. I can show you the logs just to explain you what basically happened here. We did not put any debug statements here, but what I can show you is after insert was happening here. So you can see this particular method was called account trigger.create contact, and it has passed the account list here. And this has the account list inside it, and then the account object. Then it creates the contact object here, and then it does the DML. One contact object was created because obviously we are running it on a single record right now, and it shows you the number of DMLs it has done. So it has done one DML, and out of 10,000 records, it has created just one single record. So this is also the limits which are visible here. So basically, you can run up to 100 SOQL queries in your transaction. You can have up to 50,000 records you can fetch from the database using these 100 SOQL queries. Leave the SOSL for now. Then for DML, you can have up to 150 DML transactions. Basically, you can have 150 insert, update, or delete statements in your code in that whole particular transaction. Then you can have DML rows. So you can update up to 10,000 records or create up to 10,000 records or delete up to 10,000 records in a single transaction. Then CPU time, heap space. I've told you about heap space and call out. So basically, if you're doing a contacting another system, then you can do up to 100 call outs. You can invoke up to 10 emails. You can do up to 50 future calls. We'll talk about futures and all of that and queuable jobs as well. But for now, these are the Apex limits which are there for each transaction. You can get these limits increased. Obviously, when you get the limits increased, Salesforce will charge you more for that. I hope you would have understood the difference between before and after triggers using this video and the previous video, where we were updating the account record itself. And this basically helped you would use before and after triggers at a lot of places in your Apex code when you work on a project. So it is very, very important to understand these before and after triggers. Wishing you all the best in your Salesforce journey. Have a good day. See you in the next video.